Picture this. It's 9 o'clock. The kids are finally in bed. You got a mountain of work emails waiting for you, and you find yourself standing in the kitchen with a bag of chips in your hand and wondering, how did I get here? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. And here's what I need you to understand right now. This isn't about willpower. This isn't about being weak or lacking discipline. This is about psychology. And once you understand what's actually happening in your brain, in your body, you can learn how to fix this. My name is Andres Ayesta. I'm a registered dietitian, and over the past 12 years, I've worked with hundreds of busy parents, professionals, executives who struggle with this very same cycle. And with that, I discovered that there's 5 specific triggers that drive stress eating or emotional eating. There's one specific one that catches most parents and people completely off guard. And I'm going to reveal what that is in just a few minutes. But first, let me break this down for you. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you 5 research-backed strategies that will help you stop stress eating before it starts. These are not complicated techniques that will require hours of your day or specialized trainings. These are simple, practical tools designed specifically for people who are juggling careers, kids, and everything else that life throws at you. And if you're tired of fighting the same battles with food over and over again, and you're really trying to put band-aids on it by just doing another diet or something along the lines of that, I want to make sure you're hitting that subscribe button right now, because I share evidence-based nutrition strategies every single week. And these are the strategies that actually work in real life, not just the ones that sometimes are just a pipeline dream. Now, before I give you the 5 strategies, we need to talk about what's actually happening when you actually stress eat, because most people get this completely wrong. And here's where most people fail. I just need more willpower. It's really what they say. I need to be stronger. I just need to stop doing this. How many times have you said that to yourself, but you end up in the same cycle? Well, here's the real problem. When you're stressed, your body releases a hormone called cortisol. You want to think of cortisol like a fire alarm going off in your body. And when that alarm is blaring, your brain starts screaming for quick energy, specifically sugar and fat, because it thinks it needs fuel to handle whatever crisis is happening. This isn't a character flaw. It's literally your biology. Your body's literally designed to crave high-calorie foods when you're under stress, but not because you want the high-calorie foods, it's because it needs quick energy. Now, the solution isn't to fight your biology, it's for you to work with it. And that's exactly what these 5 strategies are going to help you do. Instead of relying on willpower, like you've been trying to do, we're going to call it if this, then that system. And when you feel a specific trigger, you'll have specific tools that you can use ready to go to implement. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because there are 5 main triggers that drive stress eating, and I guarantee you're going to recognize yourself in at least 2 to 3 of them. Numero uno. The first trigger is obvious: stress and anxiety. Maybe you just got off of a difficult work call. Maybe you're dealing with a tantrum from your toddler. I sometimes do. And suddenly you're craving something sweet or fatty. Here's what's happening. That cortisol spike that I mentioned is making your body crave a quick dopamine hit from food. But here's the key. Stress-related cravings are usually very short-lived. If you can delay acting on them, even for just 5 minutes, the intensity of that drops dramatically. So here's your strategy. Create a 5-minute pause ritual. When you feel that stress craving hit, step away from the kitchen. Take 3 deep belly breaths. They look like this. And you do it 3 times, you let it out, you immediately feel a sense of relief. And then maybe besides that, you, brew a cup of tea or coffee or take a quick walk around your block. My clients always struggle with this stuff, even myself. And the constant pantry raids every time a stressful day at work happens, particularly post-COVID when there's a lot of people working from home and their kitchen is like a few steps away. I teach them to implement this 5-minute rule. And 9 out of 10 times when you're intentional about this, you start to realize that you don't really do the typical cookie eating habit that you would go for. The key here is interrupting that automatic stress to eat pattern and giving your rational brain a chance to step in. The way I explain this is that there's a rational part of your brain that lives in the front. It's called your frontal cortex, right here in the part of your head. And then there's an emotional brain that lives in this side of your head. A lot of times when we're making a lot of these decisions, we're thinking with this emotional brain instead of really letting this one take action, because this is the first one that gets activated. It's like the quick reaction one. You need to give yourself some time before this one kicks in. The reality is that you have formed what we call a habit loop around this. Stress is a trigger. The routine that the trigger follows is you go grab something sweet. The reward is the dopamine hit and the short-lasting satisfaction that actually happens from it. But then there's a 4th step in a bad habit, which is, the guilt that comes with it. This, by the way, is called the habit loop, and it applies to both good and bad habits. A cue, a trigger, a routine or action, and a reward, and sometimes guilt and bad habits. So when you start to become aware of some of these different things, you start to pay attention to them differently, and you can change those. The second trigger is fatigue, or just being tired. And this one hits hard during the afternoon crash that you experience or late at night when you're exhausted and you still have things to do. When you're tired, your body mistakes fatigue for hunger, and it specifically craves quick carbs and things like candy, chips, anything that promises instant energy. Now let's talk for a minute of why this happens. Most people who are busy sometimes forget to eat, and this is a very common thing. This happens during the day. At night, you're spent and your body's still short on energy needs that, you haven't really fulfilled throughout the day. So we ring alarm bells to get you to fill those energy gaps from the day. The way I describe this, I use an analogy, is like your body's trying to send you the bill for what you owe and it's time to pay up. This is when you connect the need your body has with an emotional and tired response that you typically have in that moment. Then here's a problem. What would you choose though? So your body needs something, but you're really meeting with an emotional response. Now in that moment, and this is what I joke with clients about, is the fact that you're not going to be craving a bowl of broccoli. You're going to try to connect something that really makes you feel good and happy, and that usually is going to be the piece of chocolate. So the problem becomes on what you're choosing, because those foods give you a temporary boost followed by an even bigger crash. Instead, this is what I want you to try. First, obviously get enough food throughout the day, so try to avoid skipping meals and prioritize your protein intake. But then at night, the first step you can take is try to drink a tall glass of water so you can see if maybe you just need to focus on hydrating properly, because dehydration often feels like hunger and makes fatigue even worse. If you're genuinely hungry, go for a protein and produce combo. Try to have things that are readily available to you. Think like an apple and peanut butter, or maybe some Greek yogurt with berries. This gives you a steady energy source without the sugar crash. Now here's a strategy that I personally implement with my clients, which is no skipping meals throughout the day, and make sure you're having at least 3 good protein foods. What's going to happen is that you're likely that by the time the night comes around, you're going to be tired, but maybe not starving or reaching for those dopamine releasing foods. One of my clients is a lead singer for a big band that you may know about, and he would struggle with this big time. And we eliminated his intermittent fasting strategy that was ultimately hurting him, and we replaced it with eating an adequate breakfast, followed by a good lunch and a couple of high protein snacks. The third trigger is boredom, and this one sneaks up on you very easily. You're scrolling through your phone, you're watching TV, or you finally have a quiet moment. And suddenly you're in the kitchen grazing on whatever's available, or opening up the fridge and just staring at it like there's something magic that is going to appear from it. This isn't about hunger, it's about stimulation. Your brain is looking for something interesting to do, and food becomes entertainment. You know where this happens to a lot? When you're just socially awkward and you go to social interactions or just like a party or something like that, and you have the need to go and grab food or a drink. It feels awkward not to do anything, so you need some form of stimulation, and that's what you typically tend to do. You either drink, eat food, or grab your phone and scroll. Here's your strategy. Redirect that urge into activity. Play a favorite song and dance for 3 minutes. I love to do that with my son. Step outside for fresh air. Text a friend. Keep your hands busy with something. Fold laundry. Do a puzzle. Sip on some herbal tea or just water. The key here is occupying your mind and your body so the urge to snack passes. And it will pass, I promise you. Usually within just a few minutes. Trigger number 4 is the one that catches most parents off guard, which is overwhelm. When life feels chaotic and heavy, and you have way too many things on your plate, food becomes the fastest way to feel better, even if it's just for a micro moment. Maybe you're running late, the kids are being difficult, work is crazy, and suddenly you're ordering pizza or hitting the drive-thru because you just can't handle one more decision. Does that happen to you? Here's a strategy I want you to implement. Plan for chaos. On busy days, have simple meal structures ready to go. I personally like to have a rotisserie chicken always on my grocery list. Pre-washed salad and maybe microwavable rice so you don't have to think too much about this. Another example that you can do is always have a go-to order at the places that you can order foods that can support your goals rather than going for like the easiest thing and sometimes not the most supportive option that you can get from a restaurant. And keep healthy snacks visible and easily accessible instead of like the not so great ones. But also in the moment when you feel that I can't handle this feeling, pause and tackle just one small task at a time. Sometimes regaining a sense of control in one area reduces the urge to self-soothe with food. The final trigger is emotional, typically sadness, loneliness, or just feeling down. And this is where you typically get the stereotypical ice cream and cookies because they feel comforting, but they usually leave you feeling worse afterwards, either physically or mentally. Here's what works better. Replace food with connection or self-care. Call or text a friend, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Take a warm bath, maybe write in a journal what you're feeling instead of just simply eating your feelings away. Sometimes just writing, I feel upset because, provides relief without any calories required. And if you still want a treat after addressing the emotion, maybe portion out a small amount and savor it mindfully. There's a big difference between mindfully enjoying something and mindlessly eating to avoid feelings or just to try to shut them down. But there you have it. Now you have 5 strategies. Now, I know what you're thinking. This seems like a lot to remember when I'm stressed out. I get it. So here's how to make this simple. The first thing I want you to do this week is I want you to identify your personal triggers. For the next week, just pay attention. When do you find yourself stress eating? Is it after work calls? Maybe when the kids are being difficult? During that afternoon energy dip? Once you know your patterns, you can create what I like to call your emergency toolkit. Write down your top 2 triggers and the strategies that would go with them. Put this list somewhere that you'll see it, on your fridge, in your phone, whatever works for you, particularly when you're really trying to work on this. For example, if your biggest triggers are afternoon fatigue and evening overwhelm, your toolkits might be tired at 3 p.m., water plus 5-minute walk. Maybe you can even put this on your calendar. And then maybe overwhelmed after work. One small task, take a deep breath. Now here's what to expect in the first week. You're not going to be perfect, and that's okay. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress and consistency. Even if you catch yourself halfway through stress eating and think, oh my God, I'm doing that thing again, that's awareness. And awareness is the first step that you can make to change. Some of these strategies will feel more natural to you, maybe more than others. Start with the ones that feel easiest and then start to build from there. Let me recap everything that we cover here today. You now have 5 research-backed strategies to stop stress eating before it starts. Number 1, when you're stressed, take a 5-minute pause. Number 2, when you're tired, recharge without the sugar. When you're bored, move or engage. When you're overwhelmed, plan and simplify. And when you're sad and lonely, connect instead of snacking. These aren't just theories. These are practical tools that work for real people with real lives. Now, here's my challenge for you. Pick one strategy from today's video. Try it out the next time you feel that trigger. Just one. Don't try to overhaul everything at once. And then come back in here to this video and comment what you thought and what you did and what you found. I promise I'm going to be reading your responses. Now, at this point, if you did find this video helpful, make sure you subscribe because next week I'm breaking down a lot more things that are going to really help you really understand exactly how to manage your nutrition adequately. Now, if you're struggling with this a little bit more in depth and you need a little bit more support, I designed a diet personality quiz that is completely free and that answers the question of what are my biggest struggles and how I can fix them. There's a link in the description that you can check it out. You can take that assessment. It's going to immediately tell you what your diet personality is. What are some of the first steps you can take to start to change and improve towards your weight loss goals? What I'm going to leave you with today is simple. This isn't about willpower. It's about having the right tools at the right time. Thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. I'll see you in the next one.